This was Carlos's idea. So I take notes at conferences and I listen to what people are saying, and I listen to what questions are coming up in my mind, and I just channel words from that. So these are your words, as much as they are my thoughts. We believe in less of the sage on the stage versus guide on the side, he says, to open the summit, and we ask ourselves, are we making a difference? We need to support artists beyond cash, he says, and give them as much cash as possible, he says. They aren't silver bullets, he says. They are contributors and co-leaders, he says. How do you nourish your creative interventionists, she asks. How much money goes to artists, he asks. How do we support uncommon leaders, she asks. How do we stay in our lane and nourish neighborhood leaders to lead, I wonder. Give them a highway, Carlos drops. Questions that have evolving answers but need to be asked, because I don't want to live in a world where all the neighborhoods are generic people in Lakewood wearing North Face listening to Jack Johnson in their Subarus on their way to get craft beer. It was in a session. Co-write the vision and remind the community what is next. Embrace the culture, partner with artists, but make it forward-thinking and future-pivoting moments. How do we create a there? Invite yourself, Carlos asks again. Placemaking isn't asking deep enough questions, she says. Its buzzwords fall short of exploring what is beneath the surface, she says. What about anger? What about healing the past? What about disconnection? What about loneliness? Is ending loneliness placemaking 2.0? Can Art Place and Kresge and NEA and Knight Foundation invest my desire to use curiosity and empathy to end loneliness, to challenge the belief that we are separate, not the ability to write a pretty proposal? Can we be revolutionary? Are we making a difference? Wayfinding my way to ask, am I somewhere special? Which way do I go? Is this the right place? Following signs within that should be placed without. How do we make all the assets into permanent wayfinding? Because if you're your authentic self, you have no competition, quoted in a session. Take theater and envision a neighborhood that ought to be equitable and sustainable art. Find your mavens and connectors and activate them, she advises. How are you going to love your neighborhood, she probes. It's Denver than the rest of us. We have to think of the physical as an extension of the heart, you see. How can we curb the dark side of placemaking from gentrification and dislocation armies to generative and inclusive soldiers of love? Connect people to space, but is that all we are here for, I wonder? Locally informed and human-centered is our marching orders. Mind map your project to prove to officials placemaking is not fluff. Encourage investment by comparing land use value, make data impactful. Am I making a difference? How many people came to the event? How long did they stay? How much did they spend? What part of the budget was spent on this or that? Can I measure hope already? Can I make peace in my neighborhood that is one of the most dangerous zip codes in the nation? How do I build the foundation for peace in design, architecture, conversation, and programming for a park challenged by high crime and culture divide? Will they reject me? Am I making a difference? More people are dying from suicide than wars and homicide, he cites. I want to cry out, but decide to keep my pain in the place where my fears hide. How do we read a city? How is anger a catalyst? How do we use peace and the shalom effect to not make place, but create a space where we can be guardians of space peacefully? Are we keepers of peace? Look around. And if we are, who is here and who is missing?